Yeah, I mean these are yeah, that's the stressful thing when it's 1 million versus $10,000. You know, that's a tight race, right? But I'm a big fan of all or nothing really here. So it's like I don't, as a man who's only ever came second, I don't believe in second place prizes. You know, I want everything on the line in that final. I do not want one possible thought of an athlete in a final being like, second place ain't too bad, you know? Well, second place lost you $990,000. So it's like, and get after it.
Greetings to all the CJI fans out there. Make sure you listen up and move fast because CJI 2 tickets are officially live. In only a few days of being available, over half of those tickets sold out. So if you are going to want to be there in the Thomas and Mack Arena to witness history in the making, make sure you head to CJI2.com and secure your tickets today. On this episode of On Borrowed Time, we have some big news for you. After catching us up on all his European adventures, Craig is going to reveal the mystery team at CJI2, and stay tuned because we will be speaking to a couple of members from that squad, along with circling back to Craig and answering all of your guys' fan questions. Well, look who it is. We finally were able to track this man down. He is currently in Mallorca, Spain, doing who knows what. I think I saw a couple posts with a guy named Roger.
Yes, Roger Ver, Bitcoin Jesus. We're out here hanging with him. Long time jiu-jitsu aficionado, black belt, one of the OG crypto guys, really truly from, I think he was one of those dudes back in the day that bought a fucking pizza with Bitcoin. You know what I mean? So he's like, I'm sorry if you could hear the fucking lawnmower, but yeah, Roger Ver's got some legal battles with the US government right now. So obviously, I go straight to the White House. So we're going to try and help him out. Nah, Roger's actually supported jiu-jitsu for a long time. I've still got the Bitcoin cash he gave me as a bonus from Polaris way back in 2017, 2018. So yeah, he's been a big jiu-jitsu supporter for a long time. So come out and see him in Mallorca. Guys, research his case. Guys, if you want to, if you're interested, he's in a really unique position. The US government is after him for tax evasion, but he rescinded his US citizenship way back in 2014. And as you can imagine, the complexities of accountants and even the US government at the time in terms of calculating unrealized capital gains on something such as Bitcoin in 2014 is very fucking confusing. So he's in a bit of a pickle here. So like the more eyes we get on the case, the better. But yeah, I mean, crypto is complicated now, tax time, you know? So like imagine if you're one of those early crypto guys, you want to get out of the US, you got to pay out quite a bit of money to cut up that US citizenship. And yeah, they've come for Roger Ver. I won't say too much. We're going to try and release something together with him, help him out a bit in like the small way I can, right? And hopefully the IRS doesn't come for me. But yeah, Roger Ver is a good guy. And he's been a long time jiu-jitsu supporter, even behind the scenes when he doesn't really want to make a big deal about how he's helping the sport. Roger Ver is, he's really done a lot for the sport of jiu-jitsu.
And so you mentioned that when you were competing in Polaris, he gave you like an extra bonus pay?
Yeah, Bitcoin Cash had they sponsored the event and they gave out Bitcoin Cash to me and I put it in my wallet and I never spent it. And it's obviously gone up, and down, 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 up. You know how it is, right? But yeah, crypto, fascinating. Donald Trump just pardoned Ross Ulbright, helped him secure the libertarian vote. Ross Ulbright being the creator of the original Silk Road One. Roger has some communication with Ross Ulbright. So I think to be honest, there's a lot of crossover between the crypto dudes and the jiu-jitsu dudes, you know, mainly their social abilities, but also the unique personalities involved in each of those areas. And there are a lot of crypto bro jiu-jitsu athletes. I know a bunch of guys that train jiu-jitsu full-time just because they've played the crypto exchange so well.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of nerdy tendencies that seems to follow a lot of these crypto jiu-jitsu guys. Another nerd that we have to talk about is, I think, Modern Wisdom's host that's going to be dropping the Craig Jones episode by the time this airs.
Calm
Uh,
down. Don't slip off your chair, Alex. All right. I know you're awaiting that podcast eagerly. But
yes,
yeah, Chris
the wait is
released a couple
long,
clips.
long, long and anticipated.
Chris Williamson, awesome. He obviously he's done one jiu-jitsu class, but he runs Newtonic, and Newtonic is with James Smith. James Smith loves jiu-jitsu. So James Smith helped us get a bit of Chris Williamson support. Obviously, one of my podcasts were on last time to promote CJI one. So all these guys were super important for us selling tickets. And yeah, Chris Williamson's full episode. I don't even know what fucking day it is, but I believe it's out Thursday. Or is today Thursday? I don't know.
It will be on released on Thursday, and like you mentioned, he was
Ooh,
there.
of course, Alex knows.
Yeah, you know that I know everything about that man's schedule. He was there promoting Newtonic, and that was in sponsorship. They also gave a great bonus. Do you think that they're going to be involved in CJI2 like they were last year?
Definitely. Chris Williamson's back. James Smith back. Newtonic will be back. I have no doubt. We leave the business talk to business brain Seth. Me more on the front lines of people pleasing.
So even though the Modern Wisdom episode has not been released yet, they did have a little teaser, a little clip of, and I think he asked how you predict the Gable Steveson fight is going to go. And you're foreshadowing a potential leg lock against Gable Steveson?
Yeah, it's a coin flip. Either I'm paralyzed for the indefinite future of my life, or he leaves with a limp, and not the fun type of limp. So that's how I'm envisioning this match to go. Wish I could say I'm training for it. I roll a bit at the seminars, but obviously when I train at seminars, I mostly just roll with the women and children, so not very representative of my match in the future.
Yeah, well, you do have a lot to worry about when it comes to that super fight, but you did get to take a little bit of load off your shoulder when you very spontaneously actually announced that the women's division was official. Why did you choose to go about announcing it in that fashion without letting any of your employees know? Did you really just see a story that said, put some fucking women's divisions in there, and you felt triggered to let them know right then and there that we actually have been planning this in the announcement?
Well, I mean, we had always had the plans. We're just trying to navigate how we get the women's division in there. A lot of people are going to say, Craig, were you just bullied into this by women? And I would say, no, that's mostly my personal life is being bullied by women into financial expenditures. But in terms of the event, we've been planning this for a long time. We're planning sort of a women's uniform with the Street X, but I don't think we ended up going down that path. Really, not just because we want to support women's jiu-jitsu, which shouldn't even be a thing, support women's jiu-jitsu. It just should be supporting jiu-jitsu, right? But again, given the nature of the loan and given the nature that we have to make this profitable, sell tickets, it is the unfortunate reality. And it's not me saying this, it's the numbers really. And it's like it's more people just watch men's jiu-jitsu, but of course we're going to include them. And really it's a timing thing, right? So like day one of CJI was like 127 hours long. So day two was quite short. I've always looked back at the Las Vegas quintet, which the show wrapped up in under 3 hours. And that's beautiful. Like we want to keep this show tight. But given the nature of the teams, we do have spaces to fill, like I'm not going to give you an 8 hour marathon. Nobody wants to watch that, but we needed to extend the broadcast length. So we have room for a women's division. We always had room. We always had intent to put women in there. We're going to announce some form of co-main event. Who knows? Probably more important than my fight. It might be the main event. But yeah, 8 teams, best team in the world. 4 women. Who is the best woman in the world? That's going to be a weight class. I won't discuss the weight class yet. We'll save that for the first female athlete reveal. One of the best up and comers in the sport. Very jealous of her hair. And yeah, 2 super fights. That's basically what we're planning now. So, guys, we're not going to hold you hostage for 2 8 hour days. Really, yeah, it does drag it out, So we really want to make sure that you get enough jujitsu, but you're left wanting more, which is really a difficult thing to do if any of the matches are boring. But of course, the quintet format makes stalling exciting. If we've got Fabricio Andre versus Nicky Rod in an 8-minute match, and Fabricio Andre is in survival mode in a super fight, boring. Survival mode in quintet, where surviving gives your team the edge. We'll have the whole arena and live audience on the edge of their seat watching. Ticket sales are going way better than expected. I think in 4 days, we sold almost more tickets than we did in like a maybe an 85 day period. CJI1 was planned in basically 90 days. Seth would have the exact stats, but ticket sales are pumping. So, like, obviously, this sounds like a push, but guys, when this sells out, I'm obviously not going to respond to anyone's messages unless you're super important, famous, or quite an attractive lady about getting a ticket at a later date. So, please support the event. That's what really we're after here. If you guys support this event, there will be a CGI3. Anonymous investors don't come along as often as you'd hope. So we really need to try and make this profitable. And it's my personal, I take it, me and Seth are taking this on our shoulders, right? We want to prove golf gets a live audience, cricket gets a live audience, fucking football, which I just watched Conor McGregor's football game, gets a live audience. Jiu-jitsu can get a live audience and be a profitable event and pay the athletes. That's our goal here. That's our we proved last event that we could get millions of people watching jiu-jitsu. This event, we want to prove that we can get millions of people watching it and the event can be profitable. So athletes can be compensated and the event's profitable. So it's not just a charity for athletes.
As you can tell, it is the perfect timing for Craig Jones to be doing an interview. So I'm happy we didn't do this late last night, your time. It is 8 a.m. his time after an Adderall, a coffee, and a Lucy pouch or two. And so you just, said a lot of different things. One of them I want to touch on. Conor McGregor football game. What was that about? Like, is there a little bit of partnership with Conor McGregor being involved? Could we potentially see him at CJI too?
Honestly, I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't know a guy of that. A guy like that. Yeah, that's a hectic schedule he has to keep. He's obviously got so many commitments. Um, but he is supportive. Like I just showed up to his football game. I heard there was a Black Forge team final. So I'll go somewhere I'm not welcome. And we watched his team play football. Not a big fan of football, but it was fun to watch. His team unfortunately did lose, but good time, good experience watching a football game. Can't say I'd like to do that too often. I remember on the Saturday night we watched some Champions League match at the Black Forge, and that ultimately resulted in a riot in France, and two people died. And I just was like, "What is happening? Eh? People are dying. Like I don't. No one's ever going to be as impassioned for the sport of jiu-jitsu that there's a riot afterwards where they kill people." But yeah, hopefully we can get some level of passion for people in the sport of jiu-jitsu. We just don't want to reach those levels. But yeah, it wouldn't be right to go to Dublin without checking out the Black Forge. It's a
Some
cool little
people were
spot.
saying that they might have rioted if Cade Rotolo didn't get the nod in the final there, but I don't know. I don't think it would be to the levels of
Yeah,
what
a,
was
a
just
bunch of
happening in
people
France.
butt scooting down the Vegas Strip. That's their version of the riot. Although maybe the guys that supported Cade in that decision wouldn't have been the butt scooting type. Yeah, I mean that's the stressful thing when it's 1 million versus $10,000. That's a tight race, right? But I'm a big fan of all or nothing really here. So it's like I don't, as a man who's only ever came second, I don't believe in second place prizes. I want everything on the line in that final. I do not want one possible thought of an athlete in a final being like, second place ain't too bad, Well, second place lost you $990,000. So it's like, fucking get after it.
I can think of a time of when you didn't come second, and that was against Gabby Garcia. Is she going to be involved in CJI too? Is she going to have to earn her spot in the women's bracket? Is there going to potentially be a trials for this 4-woman bracket, or do you envision it being more of a invite type of deal?
Yeah, it'll be an invite type of deal, I mean, like if we go back to the early ADCCs, there were no trials, like when you create this sort of organization, we're kind of trying to be strategic here about who we pick. Because again, like there's sports entertainment and there's sports. And when we're like, we want to survive. We want this event to survive. Like, we don't want to burn out. So like the unfortunate consequence of that is that there will be opportunities for up and comers to build their name. Not everyone's going to be a big name, but like the reality is that when you have an organization and you take on up and comers, that's quite an expensive endeavor. And we're really not at that level yet where we could afford to have people in the arena that aren't going to sell tickets. We rely so heavily on this event selling out because we want to grow the sport of jiu-jitsu. We put it for free. It's free on YouTube. It's not on Flow Grappling. It's not on UFC Fight Pass. It is not behind a paywall. So when we don't put it behind a paywall, it comes with some consequences, and that is a heavy reliance on ticket sales and sponsors. And obviously, being free on YouTube is a great way to pitch it to sponsors, but it's a great way to grow the sport. You throw a paywall on anything, you're immediately going to get a whole bunch of people who are on the fence be like, oh, have to pay for it, right? So I truly believe at this early stage of the game, because of our over reliance on a free broadcast stream, that unfortunately comes with the consequence of the up and coming generation. But that's not to say that you don't prove yourself out there in any of the other events. And most importantly, I want to see that not just your, I don't care about you finishing people all the time, right? I care about like the most exciting match we ever had, Andrew Tackett versus Cade Rotolo. There wasn't a finish. Jiu-jitsu to me is about the scramble and the battle for top position and control more so than it is about the submission. So if you're out there throwing it down, your intent is strong in trying to attack your opponent in any way, and you got a good social media presence, there's the secret. And like, should come as no surprise to you that that's probably the secret to securing sponsorship and gaining mass fan appeal too. So it's not a mystery how to get noticed in this sport. When it comes your time, don't play it safe. Don't play it safe. People are going to remember the crazy scraps. They're going to forget about the boring matches you're in. And that's a testament to me. I've had many boring matches because of the 11th hour. I was a bit scared to put everything on the line, say against Usman Palhares, right? So they remember the hits, not the misses, but try your hardest to be exciting and create a social media presence. And if I could say one thing to athletes, despite what it looks like, nobody likes doing social media. You have to do social media. You have to market yourself. And that's the way you get noticed. There's no one out there that's not a social media guy. Fucking put yourself out there, put your personality out there. You're going to get noticed. People are going to pay attention. We will pay attention.
Wise words from Craig Jones. Have you been able to give some of the wise words while you're doing this seminar tour? I think the next spot for you is Valencia.
Yeah, we've been working some multiple guard, like that's kind of as a few heavy influences there, but like I like adding innovative stuff to people's games, and this is octopus guard, such a good crossover move for MMA and jiu-jitsu. So it's been mostly about teaching octopus guard to people and trying to make them believe. There's a fucking spider next to me over here in Spain, but that's really been the goal here with the seminar tour, is showing some octopus guard, a lot of CJI questions as well. But yeah, it's hard to I don't want to be that guy at the seminar, that's like this is your classic thing. People sign up for a jiu-jitsu seminar and they get a fucking life lessons thing from a guy that fucking didn't graduate high school, that thinks he knows he's smarter about the world than doctors and lawyers, preaching conspiracy theories, far right shit. And you're like, whoa, I just fucking showed up for a jiu-jitsu seminar. So I try to keep it as much as I can about jiu-jitsu. Q&A, you guys are free to ask me whatever questions you want at the seminar. But yeah, I try to keep it, believe it or not, professional.
And speaking of Q&A, we will be doing a Q&A from the fan questions that we post on Instagram after some news is revealed.
Yes. Can we do the reveal?
Yes. Who is this mystery team that is going to be at CJI 2?
So Seth had a mental breakdown because I almost leaked the team yesterday, but he lives in a constant state of mental breakdown, given his hairline. And if I'm insulting your hairline, you're in trouble, right? So this mystery team, let's frame it up a bit. So this is one thing I can give credit where credit's due. Flow Grappling blew these guys up. These guys are a true underdog story. These guys were noticed by Joe Rogan and spoken about by Joe Rogan. Whatever you think about Joe Rogan, people listen to the man. People pay note, they take note on what he says, some of them to a cult-like level. Even Tom Hardy, one of Hollywood's greatest actors, went out and trained with these guys. I remember at the time there was a lot of heat because this is a gym from a poorer community in America, and they were just training in a very, very wild
In a
environment.
laundromat.
The laundromat, and Flo Grappin captured this. And that first series of Daisy Fresh got mass media attention. I know a lot of Brazilians were like, well, this is how we train in the favela and stuff like that. Yeah. Like it was one of those things where it's like we know this, you know what I mean? Like we know how difficult it is. I've been out there in Brazil, I've been out in the favelas, I've trained with you guys. We know this. You still have champions come out of there. You have such great stories and stuff. This was just capturing an American story to capture an American audience. And we do have Daisy Fresh with Heath Bedigo leading the ship there, and that's super exciting to me. I remember watching the first Daisy Fresh season and messaging the boys, being like, "Yo, this shit's wild." I was like, "Can I send you some fucking money or something?" I feel like I feel bad that you're fucking suffering like this. I think I ended up just sending them money to get a fucking Uber Eats order or something at the time. But yeah, well, I got a bit of an Aussie connection there with Spatch. Spatch is a legend. He was in that first series. Andrew Woodsy was a big part of it. Sadly, he's had some mental health issues. Um, but yeah, we got Hillbilly Hammer, Dante Leon, Michael Pixley, Brandon Reed, and Max Hansen. And am I forgetting anyone there?
No, you listed everyone.
I'm super, super happy that we have Dante Leon in there. Dante Leon is a one championship athlete. Dante Leon has been given permission prior Tom DeBlas and Shottree to participate in this event, and I am eternally grateful that they're allowing their athletes, right? And this is, I don't think you guys realize, like if you're running a fight promotion and you've signed an exclusive athlete and you've put a ton of money into marketing this athlete, it is a giant risk to allow them to go compete in another show because ultimately you risk your athlete's safety, you risk your athlete's brand. If your athlete goes out there and competes and loses, you are it's like they see athletes as an investment. So like they're putting aside the investment aspect of what they're doing for these athletes and really seeing the bigger picture, and that's the growth of the sport as a whole. Our event is not competition for these regular shows. We are a Super Bowl style event that give each individual athlete an opportunity to make more money than they could have ever made in the sport. And given it's free on YouTube and not on a competing platform, it's good for everyone here. Create storylines, right? So shout out to One for allowing us to use their athletes, Flow for allowing us to use their athletes too. That is incredible for the sport. That's the big picture. That's not selfish. And again, they do take risk here. So remember, last event, Shatri, personally, I had to speak to him personally. He allowed us to use the Rotolos. The Rotolos are some of the biggest names in the sport, two of the best guys in the sport. They've sunk a lot of money into these boys. These boys have delivered in every way possible, competing for them. But at the end of the day, Ty's ACL was torn, I believe, in the match against Levi. He could not compete for a significant time after that. Even Cade came out of the tournament with an injury and had to pull out of the Mikey Musamichi match. And it just shows you that, again, they see the bigger picture here because two of their best athletes competed in our event and both got injured. Yet they're still allowing us to use their athletes, which I think is commendable. And although me and Tom DeBlas have had our differences in the past, we see both of us see the bigger picture here. And it's like I am eternally grateful that big organizations out there are open to working with us.
Well, that's your introduction. We're going to talk to some of the squad members of Daisy Fresh. All right, guys, we're about to put the biscuits and gravy on these motherfuckers. It is Jacob Couch in the building, and he is getting ready for some CJI2 action. How's it going, Jacob?
It's going good. How are you?
When it comes to Daisy Fresh, the story is so powerful. When you first moved into the laundromat, you spent 6 to 7 months kind of on the crash pads, really living that jiu-jitsu lifestyle, training every single day. And now to see where it's come, what is it like for you seeing that evolution?
Well, I think it's just really a testament to trust the process, even in the times where it's like the hardest to do that. In times where you're like sleeping on a crash pad. And I don't think those things are as hard as people make them out to be. I think you can find joy in everything. I think there's available joy in everything. So I cherish those times a lot. And I really am grateful for those in a way, that lets me feel like that it helped me form who I am today and will help me form who I want to be in the future. So I think those times are nothing but constructive and have gave me some of the absolute best times in my life.
And what is your most fond memory of you and Coach Heath Pettigo?
My most fond memory. Oh my God.
I know there's probably a lot.
Oh, that's so hard. Oh my God. One?
Just one that stays at the tippy top.
My favorite moment with Heath, I would say for me, would be when I beat Roberto Jimenez on the Who's Number One fucking 4 decades ago or whatever it was. I was like, I don't know, I don't gamble that much. I don't got the money to, but betting odds wise, I was a plus 1,500 against going in against Roberto, and I think he was like the favorite to win the tournament. and all he was doing was telling me, how much he believed in me and how much he was just constantly pushing that belief that I was going to win the match. And like he always does that, but this was like it was just my first big opportunity, on a big show and a big card and to show the world. And he just, man, that it was just a magical moment. I would say like that would be my favorite.
And you've showed out when the bright lights are on. One of the times you did was when you had 7 submissions at the ADCC trials. When you think back to that run that you had, is there a particular submission that you're most proud of?
Yeah, there's a couple that come to mind. I would say the finals for me was probably the biggest one. Elder's obviously who Elder is. Is Elder Cruz. He's black belt world champion, ADCC vet. And before that match, I was 0-3 against Elder. I'd lost to him 3 times. Once at purple belt, twice at purple belt, once at brown. And I remember every second of those matches going into that match. I remember them very vividly. So that one was a good one for me.
And when it comes to some of the names that we know that will be at CJI 2, is there anyone in particular that you're hoping to get a matchup against?
I'm honestly just excited to put on a show. I want to go out there and I want to give the people something they want to see, and I want to make Craig's money worth it. I want to go out there and I just want to put on a show. There's nobody. I'm looking forward to it all. I mean, you got the best guys in the world. Who would you not be excited to go against is a better question, I think, personally, because if you look at the just talent in the whole tournament, it's the best guys. How could you not be excited to go against everyone? I think that's how I feel. So,
And who do you think is the favorite so far with the teams that have been announced?
us. You can't ask me no question like that. What are you talking
And
about? You didn't expect
team,
a different answer, huh? Come on now. What is that?
Hey, that self-belief is the way to go. You guys are one of the only teams that are not using that wild card feature that Craig has installed for the other team. So shout out there.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me a question like you can't expect no other answer than the one I gave you, you're going to ask me a question like that. I got to expect that. Come on, man.
What about the team that is kind of the least likely to win? Which team do you think is the weakest link?
Oh, you're trying to get me. You're trying to get me. That ain't working. I've been around a long time. I think every team, is coming to win $1 million. And any man trying to win $1 million is going to put it on the line. So I expect everybody on every team in every weight class to come out there and try to kill each other because there's $1 million on the line. I don't think nobody's a weak link. I respect everyone, and I'm going to treat it like that. I'm trying
Jacob Couch keeping things PC, politically correct.
I think I'm a little far off from that, but I try to keep it respectful, I'll call it.
And can you tell the audience when you first got your nickname, Hillbilly Hammer?
I got it because I was sitting around bullshitting with Spatch and Marshall, and my name was like Jacob Couch BJJ on Instagram, and they were like, "That's respectful." This is what we were just we're just friends talking in our room. They were like, "That's stupid," and I was like, I could have like something. I could have something, And they kind of brainstormed together and came up with that. And I was like, they're like, you should change it. And I was like, should I? They're like, yeah. And I changed it, and it took wind and stuck. And so I give those two. I forget which one particularly. Those are the two I remember coming up with it though. Marshall Roberts and Jacob Brooks.
And now we're going to do a little rapid fire questions of your guys' team. They're a little fun, a little silly. Are you ready, Jacob?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Who on Daisy Fresh for the CJI 2 team is the easiest to peer pressure?
To peer pressure? Me.
That makes sense because it's definitely not Dante. We saw him out at one championship event and Craig's like trying to pour tequila down his throat and he's like, no, man, I will throw up. Yeah, he put his foot down. He set that boundary.
I'll go ahead and eat that one. That one. That was me.
Who on Daisy Fresh is most likely to steal someone else's snack from the fridge?
Michael Pixley.
Who on Daisy Fresh who is most likely to survive a zombie apocalypse, and who would be the first to go?
Most likely to survive, Heath Pedigo. First to go, Out of like our CJI team.
Out of the CJI team, but if there's another name in Daisy Fresh overall, you can name them as well.
First to go. There's this. We have a female on our team. She'll enjoy. Her name's Alita Brooks. I think she's the first to go on our CJI team. Uh, I think I can run
Y'all are some
faster.
warriors.
I think I can run faster than Brandon. I think I can outrun Brandon. So I think Brandon is probably the slowest out of all of us. I'm gonna go with Brandon Reed.
You refuse to put a weakest link on blast for another team, but when it comes to putting your own team on blast, you're gonna let them know.
Well, look, I think you're spinning a narrative to be completely transparent. But what I'm saying, right, is that I think I could outrun Brandon, and that Brandon is the slowest one out of us. I do think he is fast. I think I'm faster.
Who is most likely to pull guard in a street fight?
Me.
Who is the jiu-jitsu instructional nerd most likely to be staying up watching an instructional at 2 a.m.?
Dante.
Dante, he's the nerd.
Dante has the instructionals mentally bookmarked. So I would say him.
And let's just finish off with how you guys are going to be working together as a team. Are you guys adjusting your training plan or able to work together for this CJI2 training camp?
So I think Brandon Reed will be here shortly. He'll be here for the next couple months. And then we try to make trips between each other. Like Dante will come down here. We'll go to Dante's. Obviously, Max will come with him. So we try to get it. We try to get it in together and try to like train as much as we can together. It's a 7-hour trip, so we try to share that in between us. He's got a pit up there at Dante has a pit at Westside Barbell for us to train in. So that should be interesting.
I love it. Very resourceful. It's going to get you guys all ready to go come August 30 and 31st. When it comes to how you would spend your share of $1 million, how is Jacob Couch spending that money?
Well, so after taxes, I'd probably get what, about 100?
I don't know. I try to evade that shit.
Oh well, okay. We'll cut it to 170 with some innuendos. And so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hand all that money to my significant other because it does not need to be in my hands, and I know that. And so I'm just gonna hand it straight to her. I'm gonna say, hey, do some stocks, cut me out a little bit. You take the rest, invest. We're good. We'll roll that off. Because
I love how so many people are making investments with their money.
well, I'm not saying that's what I would do if I had the money, right? That's why I'm giving it to her. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do with it. I'm gonna give it to her so I don't do what I would, you know.
We'll have you focus on the jiu-jitsu and then the finances be handled elsewhere. But luckily, it's going to be a big payday. What is it like for you as someone who has seen jiu-jitsu kind of grow from not having these big payouts to having $1 million prize fighting tournaments?
I think it's an incredible thing for the sport, man. I mean, if you're talking about moving forward and progressing, how could you look at something like $1 million prize pool and go, that's not a good thing, or that's not what we want as a whole in the sport? You know, I think it's a great thing. I think it's a wonderful thing, and like I said, I think we're all coming for that million come CGI too.
And Jacob, if there's any sponsors or teammates, anyone that you want to give a shout out to, the floor is yours.
Brandon Reed, Michael Pixley, Dante Leone, Max Hansen, Heath Pedigo, ready to rolling, baby.
Joining us now is Michael Pixley. You're currently in the Daisy Fresh gym.
Yeah, I'm about to coach the little kids wrestling class. So this is our little office. It's a mess, but we get by.
That's amazing that you're going to be coaching the kids. What a great teacher for them to have. How long have you been coaching kids?
So like I did a little bit of coaching when I was still in college, but just about 3 years ago we opened our own wrestling academy in the Daisy Fresh building, our new building. So it's pretty cool. Little dudes are getting tough. It's pretty fun, exciting to watch and help out, you know.
And they're definitely getting to learn from the best. After all, you had probably the biggest upset in ADCC history against Nicholas Marigali. And I know you've talked about that moment being such an amazing memory for you. But with this much time that has gone past since then, are you getting that hunger to have more performances like that?
Yeah, everybody's always talking about that, but I'm kind of over that. You know, I'm kind of excited just to get some new matches, big matches, and test myself with the best in the world, and hopefully get some new highlights.
So, what are some matchups that you're potentially either wanting for a rematch or a completely new matchup? What is on your hit list?
I haven't really thought about it too much. I'm just preparing right now. It'd be cool to get the match back with Nicky Rod. Nicky Rod's the best in the world, so I always want to challenge myself. I was a little upset about my performance the last time we fought, so I think that'd be a good one. And I'm just excited for the event in general. Last year's event was awesome. It sucked it was the same time as ADCC, but it's pretty cool that we get to participate this year. And I'm just looking forward to all the matches and the whole event itself.
And when it comes to the performance at Fight Pass Invitational against Nicky Rod, what were some of your biggest takeaways or learning points there?
Just his size and his strength. Been back to the drawing board since then, and just been working on fixing the holes and closing that gap. And I'm really excited for the pit. I know our the Fight Pass mat's really small, so it's like reset after reset after reset. So looking forward to that. I've never fought in a pit before, so I think it's going to be pretty sick.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be very, very exciting. And when we think back to the 2021 World Championships against Brandon Reed, who's now a teammate, it was so electric seeing your team scream for you. And I can totally understand how after that experience, Brandon's like, damn, I kind of want to go train with them. But what is your earliest memories of that first interaction with Brandon Reed and seeing it now, what it's come to be as a teammate?
Yeah, me and Brandon's actually been friends for a really long time. We started jujitsu around the same time, and we would always message each other back and forth, talking about like just different experiences, and yeah, we've known each other. We actually went to the same college. So my freshman year of college, I went to this small school in Kentucky called Lindsey Wilson, and then like 3 or 4 years later, Brandon Reed was actually like a superstar for Lindsey Wilson. He won 3 national titles, and yeah, he was the man. So it was pretty cool because nobody knows that, but we actually went to the same school for not at the same time, but I guess around the same time.
So what is your takeaway from all of this wrestling versus jiu-jitsu themes that we're getting? Because obviously Craig is going to be taking on Gable Steveson. So what is your take on that? Like, you were probably much more of a purist when you were in your wrestling journey, but now you've made the switch to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I think jujitsu is like the next step after wrestling. I wish I'd have started sooner, but like college wrestling. Like once you're done with college wrestling, if you're not the best guy in the United States, there's like 5 weight classes for the Olympics. If you're not one of those 5 guys, there's not really a whole lot left for you. So jujitsu creates new opportunities, and it just like keeps you competing if that's something that you want to do. Like say you're done with college and you're not really done competing yet, jiu-jitsu would be perfect, especially the nogi scene.
And for you, I saw that you mentioned in your wrestling career, whenever you were faced up against a short and stockier guy, those were typically the harder matchups for you or stylistically. So can you kind of expand on why that physicality was a more of a problem for your game?
So in high school, it was a problem for me, but I think it was just because they were like usually more compact, a lot stronger, and they just didn't really like play well into my style, I guess you could say. But like with jujitsu and grappling, it doesn't make a difference, because you can choke them now. But like with wrestling, I don't know, it was really that I guess you could say it was just because they were so compact and strong, I guess. I don't know. I do a lot of overhook stuff. So like with the shorter guys, you really need to go more underhooks, and that wasn't really my game.
All right, so we got to talk about how Daisy Fresh is the official mystery team of CJI. It is being announced on this episode. I feel like it's been no secret that you guys have been wanting to be involved in CJI too. You guys weren't at the inaugural CJI. So when you think back to ADCC versus CJI, what was it like for you having to make kind of the decision between sticking with ADCC or trying something like CJI?
I think it just came down to like earning our spot, I guess, because me and Couch both won the trials. So like we wanted to I guess like not give that up, you know. But It was pretty cool. It all worked out, I think.
I definitely think so. It was such an amazing weekend for everyone, and I'm sure you felt the energy of Vegas that weekend. What is your overall takeaway from Vegas? I know it's not exactly, it's just such a fight city that this is the hub for that spot, but were you like, okay, I'm ready to get out of Vegas as soon as you were done competing?
Yeah, definitely. Vegas is like a 2 or 3 day city for me. After like 3 days, I'm ready to get out of there. My fingernails are like dirty from like just walking around, and I just feel gross. So when it was time to go home, we were
You
ready to
got
go.
chapped lips.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely the desert out here. Now we got to play a little bit of a quick rapid fire game. I played this with Jacob Couch earlier in the segment. So are you ready? These are a little goofy, so I don't want to catch you off guard.
Yeah, let's go.
Who on Daisy Fresh is the easiest to peer pressure? And also, this is for the CJI team that you have.
So it's just the people on the CJI team.
Yeah.
Easiest to peer pressure. Probably Brandon Reed.
Brandon Reed, I didn't expect that one. Jacob Couch elected himself. Who on Daisy Fresh is most likely to steal someone's snack out of the fridge?
Couch.
Wow, you guys said each other for that one. So it seems like you guys must have been
That's
like
a funny story because he stole my C4 out of my fridge. So that's probably why he said me, because he knew I was gonna say him.
He's definitely projecting his own guilt. Wow, we're gonna have to like splice this together because there is some snack stealing crime going on in Daisy Fresh. Hopefully that doesn't cause any controversy internally.
Nah, it'll be all right.
Who on Daisy Fresh is most likely to survive a zombie apocalypse?
Probably Dante.
Okay. And who would be the first to go? We can expand this one to all of Daisy Fresh if no one on the team is particularly
First one to go, Jacob
weak.
Couch.
And who goes too hard during flow rolls?
Jacob Couch.
Who is most likely to pull guard in a street fight?
Jacob Couch.
Who is the jiu-jitsu instructional nerd that is most likely to be staying up until 2 a.m. watching an instructional?
Probably Max Hansen.
I definitely think it's Max Hansen too. He just put an Instagram post of how it's not even 2:30 p.m. yet, already finished with the third session of the day, about to teach another class. Like, jiu-jitsu lifestyle is really personified with all of you guys. Do you like that lifestyle? Is this everything that you do? You're about to teach a wrestling class. Like, this is 100% what you want to do for as long as you can as a career.
Yeah, I'm living the dream right now. I don't have to work. I just train all day. I don't have to go to class. I tell everybody that living in Mount Vernon and training at Daisy Fresh is like college wrestling without the school. Like, you don't have to go to class, and you get to travel, hang out with your boys, and just train. And then coaching the little guys is just a bonus added on top of everything.
What kind of student was Michael Pixley back in the day?
I had no choice but to be locked in. My dad was always there, so he pushed me to just do great. And I'd say I was like the kid that sat in the front, asked questions. I was a hard worker.
I love that. And I love how I feel like that's really, you're getting to see that in your own jiu-jitsu student journey as well. And I feel like your teammates also have that mentality of being focused and locked in. Minus 66 kilograms, Max Hansen, minus 77, Dante Leon. Tell me a little bit about your teammates that I just listed there.
They're awesome, man. Dante's like my mentor. I'd say anytime I have any like questions or I need advice, I call Dante. And then Max is Dante's prodigy, so he's just a mini version of Dante.
What is it about those Canadian guys that meshed really well with Daisy Fresh and all the guys from Pedigo Submission Fighting?
They're both just like, they're real, they keep it real with you, and if you're not doing things right, they'll be the first one to tell you. So I think, it's just a good blend.
And are you going to be making a lot of trips to Westside Barbell because they've built out the pit a little bit so you can get a few reps on there?
Yeah, we're actually planning that out right now. So we're just trying to figure everyone's schedule out, and then we're going to take the trip up there.
And what has Heath's involvement been like with this process, getting the team together and figuring out how you guys are going to make your mark for $1 million come August 30th and 31st?
Well, we've always been the underdog, so we're all just excited for the opportunity, and I mean, we're not really going to hold anything back. We're coming in, and we're just going to send it as hard as we can the whole time.
And last but not least, we got to talk about Jacob Couch, the snack stealer, and Brandon Reed in that over 99 kilogram spot. What are your analysis about their game and how they're going to be able to show out in this kind of quintet CJI 2 style format?
Well, Couch is a sniper, so he can submit anybody in the world. He might take out a whole team. Who knows? Just depends what Jacob Couch shows up. And I've seen him now, and he's more focused and locked in than I've seen him since I've met him. And Brandon Reed, just a juggernaut. So he's a good heavyweight to have. And yeah, I'm just excited. It's going to be an awesome time.
And if you guys go home with that $1 million, what is Michael Pixley doing with his share?
Taking a vacation probably, and I don't know. I need to put the rest of it in a bank, or I'm going to spend it. I think me and Heath might go to the boat. We'll just have to see.
I love that for you. I feel like Daisy Fresh is going to be the team that a lot of people are going to be rooting for in Thomas Macarena. Thank you so much for the time, and we'll let you get on to coaching those little kids.
Yep, thank you.
All right, so we just got done talking with Michael Pixley and Jacob Couch. They are super fun, very entertaining. What is it about the Hillbilly Hammer that you love so much and that you feel like is going to bring the entertainment to CJI 2?
Hillbilly through the Daisy Fresh series is really like a true underdog story. We really caught a lot of his authentic self in that show. You know, we saw his relationship with his grandma, where he lived. We saw his character. We saw really, and throughout his career, everyone developed quite a strong attachment to the hillbilly and became invested in his journey in jiu-jitsu. And I remember like being super happy for him when he was able to take out ADCC trials, even though at the time it was against one of my teammates. So I was heartbroken to see my teammate losing the final, but it's hillbilly as a identity in the sport, a guy that sort of wears his emotions on his sleeve a bit, you know, like when you see him win or lose, you see a strong emotional reaction. Like you really know he's putting it all out there. I think a lot of people look up to him. So it means a lot to me to have a guy like that compete for our show and really like Daisy Fresh truly are an elite team. They come from very, very humble beginnings. Heath Pettigo runs a very tight ship over there. So like Hillbilly is integral. It wouldn't be a Daisy Fresh team without the Hillbilly Hammer. Obviously, in a different world, Andrew Woodsey was one of the stars of that show as well. But like, hopefully he's doing good. Hopefully he's making a recovery. But yeah, I am sad that it's just unrealistic to really expect us to see Andrew Woodsey make a comeback. But yeah, Hillbilly Hammer was right up there alongside him as one of the true identities of the Daisy Fresh team. So he is incredible. And then obviously Michael Pixley, I'm eternally grateful for what he was able to do at ADCC. We had a guy. I don't want to pick on Nicholas Marigali too much. You know, like most of it was inflated. Just he was an easy target. You know what I mean? First of all, English is his second language. Second of all, he's a bit of a ripoff of Gordon's identity, which made it quite easy to pick on. But yeah, Pixie did beat Marigali as a blue belt at ADCC Worlds. Pixie's got incredible wrestling, incredible hip tosses. And on the second hip toss he landed against Marigali completely destroyed his shoulder. At the time, I was super happy about it, but I don't wish injury like that on anyone. Even Gordon. As much as I hate the bastard, I would not wish him to be hurt like that. It's the sport is worse for not having Marigali in there. I think he's on his third shoulder reconstruction. So like as much as I love Pixley for what he did, I still am sad that we've lost Marigali for such a period of time.
Yeah, I was going to ask because I was watching some of Nicholas Marigali's interviews and the one where he recently got injured. It was right after, and he just seemed like a likable guy. So I was actually going to ask you, I was like, was there ever any actual ill will towards Nicholas Marigali, or was it kind of just an easy target? And I feel like you answered that question.
Yeah. To be honest, like I think that's the true crux of having fun with banter is that like you operate on the assumption that we're really we're not taking it too serious here. Like when I go back and forth with someone, if I ever feel like they've said something that hurt me, I be very careful about when and how I respond because banter should be in good fun. You know what I mean? Like if someone, in terms of the organization and growing our organization, like I will take it too far sometimes, but yeah, ultimately I'm not out here trying to ruin people's lives. You know, the goal of CGI is to grow the sport and help the athletes. These guys are athletes in the sport. I'm trying to use banter to correct their ways in some sense, but really, like CGI one was all about charity. So really, the banter is a tool to grow CGI, and if we grow CGI, we can Fair Fight Foundation in collaboration with Guardian can grow and build schools around the world for disadvantaged kids in areas that are largely forgotten. So, like, ultimately, I might take it too far, but I hope people remember my heart's in the right place. And this isn't me trying to get rich. This is me trying to find sugar daddies to help athletes in the sport get rich and kids around the world have access to jiu-jitsu.
And that is one of the truest and most kind missions that you are on, is finding those sugar daddies and figuring out ways how you can disperse that money throughout the community. So we really appreciate that. And I know that the Daisy Fresh team is going to have a lot of fans at CJI too, but we also have a fully stocked roster of a bunch of other different teams. Do we have any news coming out on New Wave, and if they're going to be making any major announcements soon?
New Wave, as far as I know, John did have his hip replaced, which is fucking horrific surgery. Luckily, my body's pretty good. I'll probably be having a heart replacement before his age, but we've got, if I had to guess, and I don't know for sure because I'm trying to not be too involved in this because, again, I do represent B team and there is a bit of bias here, right? But I'd imagine you have Dorian Olivares at 66, Giancarlo sort of head coach slash captain at 88. And then under 99, over 99, I'm curious what they do here because both Big Dan and Luke Griffith look to me like over 99 gentlemen. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with that. I know 77 kilos, they were planning to do a trials event. I had to clarify that Isaac Michelle would not be eligible to participate in that 77 division, not for personal reasons, for legal reasons. I won't go into it, but yeah, and I can't reiterate enough that in terms of bias for the event, he is the only guy that cannot compete in CJI. Anyone else can. People were speculating that like Josh Saunders and shit was banned. No one's fucking banned except Isaac Michelle. So I just want that out there. So it's 77. Davis Asari, Oliver Tarza, trying to think who else they have. I imagine Gary Toner wouldn't do it. He's pretty heavily MMA focused. So yeah, I'm not really sure who's going to fill that 77 spot, but hopefully John Danaher allows us to film that trials event. I really feel like I love seeing the inter-team trials battles. So like two teammates fighting against each other. Fuck, it sucks, but it is really the only fair way to do things, you know? And it's great build up for your team and for our event.
Yeah, that's definitely very exciting. I hope we get to see the trials with that. I do want to bring up one post that was made by Mikey Musumeci a little bit ago. He said that moving to the UFC, he had the goal of helping our sport grow so we can make it actually a professional sport. We're on the right path. What is your take on jiu-jitsu being a professional sport and how moving to the UFC helps that?
Yeah, I don't want to get sued, so I got to be careful about what I say here. But like, I would say that most of the time when people move to the UFC, uh, they're thinking about their own bank accounts more or less, even if that is based on correct or incorrect information or their understanding about how combat sports works as a whole, right? But yeah, I do agree that having the UFC attached to your name is incredible. And it's like, again, most people that started jiu-jitsu are massive MMA fans. And the reason the UFC is such a dominant force in the MMA world is because it's just been every kid's dream that like they want to be a part of the UFC. And the sad realization is everyone thinks they're going to be Conor McGregor. They're going to make Conor McGregor money. They're going to get Conor McGregor stardom. But there's only one Conor McGregor, and the stars in the UFC. It's tough. It's tough out there. You know, like MMA as a whole is not a very high paying sport. It's one of those ones where they see those guys on embedded in a rental Ferrari. You know what I mean? Like me as a person that's involved in coaching these guys and see what the financial realities are of these elite level dudes. It's like there is a bit of fantasy involved there. But I will say that, yeah, as an individual, when the UFC flashes you on the screen or the UFC throws your name up on a upcoming UFC Fight Pass event on a UFC pay-per-view, yeah, I can't deny that is good for the athlete, makes them feel good, makes the athlete's family and friends feel really good about what the athlete's doing. In terms of growing the sport, I think there's many cases to be made that we're not really at that level where organizations are going to be able to compensate you enough in exclusive contracts. So, like, I think that's open to discussion. I've made statements about the reasons for people signing these exclusive contracts, and everyone's in a different financial position. If they feel the need to get themselves looked after, go for it. But like, as a person who's been offered exclusive contracts and turned them down, I'm trying to think of the bigger picture here. I'm at the tail end of my career. Time's left. I don't have too many matches left. I got different goals. My main goal is to grow the sport. So, like, I personally held back from exclusive deals. Obviously, there is always a number that I'll sacrifice everything. But really, like, if I could leave a legacy on the sport, it would be putting our athletes in a position where we don't end up in this monopoly where we have no leverage and negotiating power. So I would just say one last thing about that is that if you're an athlete and you have a position of power in the sport, don't forget the value you hold. And that is that if you're truly undeniable, you can sign single match deals, and your power lies in a single match deal, because the one that you're under exclusive contract, you will not be able to renegotiate that contract very easily at all. You are an independent contractor under exclusive contract, which means that they have all the power and zero liability for you. And really, I guess I would say your injuries and anything that comes from the sport. But the exclusivity means that you can't shop around, you can't negotiate, you can't leverage offers against offers, you know? Obviously, in terms of contract negotiation, you can offer single match deal this price, exclusive contract this price. But definitely, I know a lot of you guys out there don't make a lot of money, but hopefully you can find someone in a jiu-jitsu gym that is a lawyer. Like, jiu-jitsu is like a secret society. You should have access to someone. You could put out a post and one of your followers will probably be a lawyer. I would definitely recommend speaking to a lawyer. Um, I'm not going to say if you message me, I'm going to see it and help you, but like, I am available because I understand the reality of the sport from both a high level athlete perspective, someone that's negotiated high level sponsorship deals, someone that's ran a promotion himself, someone that's negotiated sponsorship deals for that promotion. So I'm backed by a chosen advisory, Daniel Morsley, Tim Simpson, which are, I think, MMA's premier management team. So, like, I'd like to think I have a bit of a good understanding about how MMA as a whole and fight sports contracts negotiations work and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. So if you ever need advice, have helped other athletes out there. So yeah, just think of the big picture here, right? You know, like, there's more to gain really in standing up for everyone in the sport than it is just looking at your bank account. So people will say I'm biased because I have my own organization. I don't really. I put one show on a year that's a Super Bowl event. I don't run a consistent month-to-month organization where I'm trying to make sure our guys don't compete for other shows. If I didn't care about the sport, growth of the sport, I'd probably be signing people to exclusive deals as well. I'd be trying to lock them down so no other show can capitalize on them. But at the end of the day, we are one show a year, and that goal of that show is to raise money for charity and grow the sport of jiu-jitsu. And if you question me, ask yourself, why the fuck is it free on YouTube? I could probably get $2 to $3 million in a network deal to put this on there. I choose not to because I want to grow the sport.
And obviously, a big conversation is the pay, the exclusive contracts, but another angle of it is making the sport legitimate by having steroid testing. And I really appreciate from you have a couple of podcasts where you're very open about steroid use, and it comes from a place of wanting to be authentic for the next generation so people can kind of come in. It's like when a girl gets plastic surgery, she just tells people they have plastic surgery. So can we know a little bit about your steroid regimen in the lead up to Gable Steveson? If I'm going to be able to inject your butt cheek like you promised at CJI 1, it never happened, but I want to still redeem that.
That's there's many an individual out there that wants to penetrate these cheeks. That's why I got the Gabby Garcia tattoo as a bit of a focus target on the outer gluteus maximus. But yeah, like, I remember when I started working with an anti-aging company, TRT company, the initial one was Evertine. I now work with Marek Health, right? Marek Health has national cover, whereas Evertine really was just a Texas-based company. So My logic, and a lot of people think I'm encouraging steroid use, but that's like, I'm a sponsored athlete. We've got to market it. I'm not encouraging steroid use. I'm encouraging safe steroid use. So when there's a gray area and young upcoming athletes are under the assumption that all like they take a look at athletes in the sport, see how jacked they are. Gordon would be an example. Some of the events he showed up for is like looks like Mr. Olympia, right? So um, I'm trying to say to everyone out there that already operates on the assumption that everyone's on steroids. I just want to let people know that I am on not a crazy amount. Like I wanted to emphasize to the youth that like if you're going to do it, like I'm operating the assumption that the kids that are out there that are going to do it, they're going to do it anyway. It's hard to talk them out of it because they think they need to do it to win in jiu-jitsu competition. I'd say there's case studies out there like Lachlan Giles, where unquestionably clean athlete. You don't need it. Not every like you don't need it to win in this sport. Obviously, it's going to be a more challenging path. But if you're an athlete out there that's heart set on doing it, by me showing the exact numbers, and they're quite mild numbers, I've done some crazier things in the past, and I can confidently say that didn't help me. It just had great health consequences on me. But that by us athletes exposing the sort of the stack we're on and what we've been able to do on that stack, it's kind of encouraging a safe level of drug use. Because if you're just your local guy at the jiu-jitsu academy and you're a kid or you're like in your early 20s and you think, shit, it's time to do steroids, I'm going to take everything and anything under the sun, then I'm trying to discourage that because that comes with great health consequences. And if you want the benefits of testosterone, there is a risk versus reward basis there where more doesn't always mean better, and more means serious health consequences, as you see in some of the athletes. Like, not to imply that Wagner Hosha just had his heart problems because of steroid use, but guys, it's like there are safe ways of doing this, and that would be by contacting people like Marek Health. Make sure you get the help you need. Make sure you find a responsible, qualified person to guide you on this, and don't just talk to the bodybuilder, the local LA Fitness, who's going to throw you on everything. And another thing I'd say about the steroid thing is, in my personal experience from a coaching thing, what I've noticed is that when someone jumps on steroids, their technique suffers because you're a guy that had to rely on technique to be effective in the sport. And then all of a sudden, you've got this newfound strength and power, and you want to flex that strength and power, and you start to overly rely on it, and it detracts from your technique and it ruins your cardio. It ruins your cardio because you're in the gym just muscling non-steroided guys around, and then when it's time to compete, you're competing against guys with high-level technique that are on steroids too. So like sometimes I find that steroids is a detriment to jiu-jitsu athletes that are so technique folks that suddenly have this newfound strength. They forget the technique. It operates in lieu of the technique they previously used.
Well, we appreciate your honesty, and we want you to keep this honesty going when it comes to the fan questions. They get a little bit
Yep.
rowdy on the Instagram. They
I
really
don't know what they
range.
would.
The first one is, will there be a cuck seat at CJI 2?
Yeah, and I mean, like obviously, Toehold have made their custom cuck seat. I don't think there were too many for sale, but they were snapped up quick. Who knows? Maybe they were snapped up by the original sponsored athlete. But every coach's chair is kind of a cuck chair. You know what I mean? But in terms of cuck chairs, it's a good hotel always has a good hotel cuck chair. So we can fucking pull that out of the hotel if someone feels a need to have a specific type of chair in that corner.
Maybe that'll be something that can be guaranteed in the VIP package, because we haven't announced all the things that are going to be happening with the VIP.
And there ain't nothing wrong with being a cuck. I want that to be said. If you're a cuck, all power to you, and lucky for your missus. There ain't nothing wrong with being a cuck.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more people out there that are cucks than we think.
Yeah.
So
some people out there, there's probably friends, family members, who knows? Maybe your dad's a cuck. You never know. So don't be too judgmental. It's just a funny thing to say when someone denies they are one. Open up to talk about yourself. You know what I mean?
Another question from a fan is, will there be alternates? If not, what happens if someone gets injured at CJI 2?
Now, I mean, alternates, we'll not have alternates on the day. You know what I mean? Like if you got your 5-man team to go through the weekend, alternates would be very complicated because you'd have to have an alternate for each weight division, right? Or a lighter guy for that division. No alternates. If you go out there and don't tap, you might win the match, but will you win the war? Will your team be able to go on to defeat another team with 4 people? Maybe. But that's why I'm saying like we're playing for the war here, not the battle. You know what I mean? Like be careful here. Like if you have to take a tap, because nobody's replacing you. Like at what cost is your injury? That's what I'd say. Obviously, I mean, if someone gets injured in the lead up, for sure, the team can fill that weight division. But once that weigh in has occurred, that is your team for the weekend. And I think it actually adds an interesting narrative too, where if you lose a guy on day one and you got two more fuck these flies, two more teams on day two, can you beat them with four people? That would be incredibly impressive.
Have we heard any other news about the American Misfit Squad from Greg Souders?
No, nothing substantial there. And there'll be no American trials. Greg Sauter's only got 90 days. He was one of the last coaches we contacted, unfortunately. So he's coming in a bit handicapped here, like me with these fucking flyers. But yeah, like we should have updates soon on Greg Sauter's team. You know what? We got the Americas, like I'm sad that we didn't get enough Brazilian representation. I'm sad that some of the Americans, like I would say, like the other organization out there, the Premier One, knows their markets very well, right? So like they're American based and they want to target American athletes, and that does handicap our event in some capacity. So the America's team might end up being a slightly weaker team. If I were to look at it on paper about the possibilities for each of the teams, we know Team Europe. I think Australia is the most powerful misfit team by a long shot. And even if Greg Souders does pull off some good people, um, Australia is the strongest misfits team. So like I'll keep them as far away from B team as possible.
Wow. Very interesting that you think Australasia is the strongest Misfits team right now. I can't wait to hear about what Greg is planning. I wonder if he's like kicking rocks a little bit, missing out on Paul Ardilla, who's now representing the European Misfits team. What was your
You and him
reaction?
can kick rocks together, missing out on Paul idea.
Oh, yes, that is definitely the plan. We also have to talk about Diego Pato and Roberto
Oh yeah.
Jimenez. Are there any news on that? Because I feel like if they're being included on the America's Misfits team, that could result in something stronger than Australasia.
My dream for the Americas would have been like Diego Pato, Andrew Tackett, William Tackett, Roberto Jimenez, and whoever plus 99. That's the dream. That's the dream I was living before that bubble was burst. But like Roberto Jimenez declined participating. Didn't really explain why. I'm not going to press him on it. Like I thought he was going to be a part of it. He's not. That's sad for me, just as from a fan perspective. Who else did you mention? Pato, me and him were talking a bit about his participation in CJI. Like we wanted AOJ in there for one reason or another. I don't know if AOJ, like I personally believe fucking that's one of the best teams in the world. So impressive. Mendez Brothers fan through and through, but like we couldn't get an AOJ team. Pato represents AOJ as far as I know. I was speaking to Pato back and forth, and we're speaking about him taking a wild card spot, but then he just stopped responding to me, gave me the approach. He treated me like most women in my life treat me. At one point or another, they just stopped communicating. So Pato, as of right now, is not in the event. And Pato is my personal favorite athlete out there in the sport today. I think he's the best leg locker in the world. So yeah, it sucks for the event, but also hurts on a personal level because I'd love to see Pato out there leg lock some big guys. But that's where we're sitting right now. No good news there.
Any news about Mika Galbao?
Meek is a bit of a mystery. Like the more you talk to him, the more questions you have. So as it stands right now, we don't have Mika in the event, which sucks. Meek is one of those guys that could run a whole team.
What if he joins New Wave?
He joins New Wave, yeah. He joined the dark side. Nah, that would be wild. I don't think John has a wild card spot. He hasn't filled a wild card spot. So I mean, if anyone's going to convince Mika to jump in, it could be the great John Danaher. Then they'd have quite an overpowered team. Looking at the teams here, we're going to start revealing athletes on the teams, but yeah, it's going to be a wild one. There's going to be some mismatches, but it's the reason there's mismatches because some of the guys out there in the sport are that elite. But yeah, obviously no good news on the athlete front of the athletes you're talking about. But for the fans that have made it 45 minutes into my bullshit, if you want them in the event, harass them on the internet. Tell them they should be in the event. Tell them all the things they could buy with 200,000 US dollars.
Final question for Craig's stimulated brain from a fan. What about a Dana White versus Seth Belial super fight?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see that from a power slap perspective. I think that'd be brilliant. Dana could slap the last 3 strands of hair off Seth's head, which I'd love. Alex just got a pay cut. She's laughing that hard.
I thought this show was going to be canceled. Now it's definitely canceled. All right, guys,
I'd love
that
that.
wraps up a lot of information from Craig Jones. We're going to be tuning in with you next week, and we'll also have a lot more news on another team that we are going to be releasing. That Craig, one more question. Do you think there's any regret from the 10th Planet Network of not utilizing that wild card, because they were the first team to announce their group before the wild card aspect was allowed? So do you think they're going to have any leeway to potentially go a wild card route, or are they 100% locked in with their team?
No, they could change it. You know, they're free to change it at this point. Obviously, whichever athlete they removed would probably be quite upset to be replaced like that. But yeah, they're free to use it. It's one thing I respect about 10P is that always doing through, they've been representing as a single team in dream team style events. You know, like I really do respect that. They've got their core group of guys. They fly the flag hard. But yeah, I mean, from a strategic point of view, it's hard for any one team, any one affiliation to have 5 elite level guys in the world. So, like, I don't think there's any shame in putting in a wild card to make your team a little more overpowered. As long as 4 out of the 5 are 10P guys, like, to me, that's a 10P team. The wild card is just a fun little thing to mix things up. You know, like it's an inclusivity thing. I'm an inclusive guy, so we wanted to make sure everyone had a chance to participate in the event to the wild card position. So yeah, 10P's teams out there. Respect to them, you know? Love it.
Yeah, Daisy Fresh and 10 Planet, both teams that didn't use the wild card aspect. So if you guys want to see the action go down August 30th and 31st, it'll be streaming live and free on YouTube. But if you want those tickets, head to CJI2.com. It was just a few days in before 50% of the tickets were sold out. So Craig, let them know what they have to do.
65% gone now. And don't forget, there is 159 exclusive VIP seats that are going to be snapped up quick. So if you're feeling like maxing out the credit card and getting an exclusive experience, I'd say those are the tickets for you.
And did the t-shirts go on sale? That is going to potentially be the one golden Willy Wonka ticket t-shirt?
I should hear soon who that golden ticket's going to. So that's going to be real interesting.
Ooh, and then maybe we can interview them on this show.
That would be cool. Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time on Borrowed Time with Craig Jones, as long as he survives his seminar tour in Europe.